So we clearly communicated really badly about this, and that we really regret. We do research in an ongoing way, in a very privacy protective way, to improve our service, and this was done with that goal.
There is a good chance that every single person watching this show right now uses Facebook, which means you are having your emotions manipulated by Facebook, whether you like it or not. And plenty of people are steamed about it. But when you think about it, is what Facebook is doing, in essence, any worse than what any other advertiser seeks to do? Jon Friedman is one of our Newsmax masters, featured on the Mothership website, writes for Time, Esquire, and others. We welcome him back to MidPoint once again. Jon, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm fine, thanks. You too. How are you? Good to see you.
It's another day in paradise, unless, of course, you're worried that your paradise may be caught by Facebook, or they might catch you doing something here. First up, Jon, I have to tell you, I hear the COO in that soundbite telling us, we regret what we did. I'm sorry, but I don't think Facebook regrets anything that they do, because quite frankly, this is an autonomous business that gets away with almost whatever they want whenever they want it, isn't it?
Bingo. This company is snooping on its customers and users all the time without their knowledge and with their knowledge, but they keep snooping on their people all the time, trying to get information about their buying habits, their shopping habits, their consumer habits, and it's gotten to a point where it might be too much invasion of privacy right now for all of us.
Is it not fair to say, though, and if you look at Facebook, and again, I'm sure that both of us, at least me, will probably have our Facebook accounts cut right off whenever this interview is over, knowing full what we're about to say.
I'll take my chances.
Pay your money, take your chances. There you go. But there is no real customer service at Facebook. There is no one really to talk to. There is no one to contact. They literally, and perhaps there's a private business, they can do whatever they want, but they really do not answer to anybody, and there are many times it seems as if they don't answer to the government, and they're higher than anybody on the planet in some cases because they are so isolated, correct?
It's true. Facebook does not charge a fee for the use of the service. It's very important because Facebook now can do whatever it wants. By not charging us any money, they can basically say, you're not paying us for anything. You serve Facebook at our pleasure when we want and what we say, so keep on being our user. Maybe not a customer, but a user is the better word. And if you don't like it, tough luck, go somewhere else. Where else? Nowhere else. You're stuck with Facebook.
But here's the question.
The first taste is free.
Exactly. Did this really violate any ethics whatsoever here? Because it's the experimental evidence of massive scale emotional contagion through social networks. This was published last week in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science. They did this in conjunction with scientists, supposedly here. But is what Facebook doing here really any different than what any advertiser wishes they could do every single day in order to manipulate emotions, find out what consumers want, and then be able to sell them the correct product?
However, Ed,
please.
We're not advertisers. Facebook's a service that we all use. We don't use advertisers as a service. They use us. And we think I can tell somebody on Facebook what I'm doing, what I'm shopping, where I'm going, what movie I'm seeing, what I like in the restaurants, and not have to come back to me down the road and being watched by Big Brother. Is this Big Brother? That's another big question for us. Is this 1984 all over again with Facebook as Big Brother?
Don't you think, though, that there's a lot of advertisers out there who, quite frankly, are happy with what Facebook is doing? Because if you think about it, they're manipulating the advertisers, what you see. They're manipulating your emotions, but they also have those advertisers on it. So wouldn't the advertisers themselves be very thrilled to see this, because they know that through these studies, which basic TV and radio doesn't really do, or can't do for that matter, that they're targeting the advertisers and that it could mean more money for them down the road?
Totally. Advertisers love this. That's why Facebook is doing it, to impress advertisers, to appeal to advertisers, to who advertisers. They want them to come to Facebook instead of Twitter or LinkedIn or someplace else. They want Facebook to be their destination, the advertisers. And Facebook is collecting all this data about us, all these data about our shopping habits and buying habits and preferences about movies and cars and beer, and telling advertisers, hey, 1849 in Milwaukee loves this, whereas in Boston they love that. And it's a really good scheme Facebook has going on for advertisers. It's absolutely true.
I have to tell you this, though, Jon. There are always people complaining that Facebook wants to know all of my personal information, and I keep coming back to a very simple answer on all this. So you say things on Facebook, you put things in your status, you answer people's questions, you say them so the world can see it, and then you're surprised when somebody actually uses it against you? I mean, doesn't that kind of basic common sense? If you don't want anybody to know, you don't tell them, right?
I agree with you 100% there too. I am so careful on Facebook and Twitter to say nothing controversial, nothing salacious, nothing that can be used against me in a court of public opinion or law. And I'm pretty boring on Facebook and I'm pretty boring on Twitter. But you know what? I'm thrilled with myself.
Okay, I try not to be boring, but I will tell you, you do have to watch what you say. Couple of minutes we got left here. Talking about saying things, you recently wrote a column on the Newsmax website that talked about Hillary Clinton's greatest enemy. All right, I'm going to let you reveal it. Hillary Clinton's greatest enemy as she goes through her book tour and gets ready to possibly run for the president would be whom?
Herself. Hillary herself. She says things that she may regret later. And this is not a one-time possibility. She does this all the time, it seems. She says things that she wishes she probably hadn't said. For example, she said the other day she's not really rich. And I mean, come on. Maybe not Bill Gates rich or Mark Zuckerberg rich, but she's pretty rich.
But is the most amazing thing in all this, she is not a political nor a media neophyte. She has been around it most of her adult life, if not all of her adult life. She saw what her husband went through. She knows how the media works. She knows what she says. But the fact that she says these things, I think that's the thing that may have people who would want to back her for president going, why would you go there if you should know better?
It's mind-boggling. It's the fourth quarter. You have the ball. Time's running out. Fall on the ball. Don't hand it off. Don't throw a pass. Fall on the ball. Win the game. Walk away very quietly. She should do these things. Play it safe. She's way ahead. She's got the lead all by herself. Why is she tampering with her own lead? I don't understand it.
Here's the big question, though, because it takes so long. We've got until 2016. Americans, as I've said, many of us have the attention span of a gnat. Is it not fair to say that no matter what she says right now, we've got lots of time if she just sort of soft pedals everything at this point? Yes, things will come back in the media. Yes, the sound bites will be there. But Americans have a tendency to forget these things, don't they?
Sure, but again, nothing has ever gone away. Look at Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, these Wikipedia. These are forever. You know, things she does and says, and everyone does and says, is forever nowadays. And you can be sure that in 2 years, her opponents will bring back this memory saying, Hillary, you aren't really rich. I beg to differ with that. Aren't you really rich? And she looked kind of silly.
Remember, John, those great words, I misspoke.
I'm sorry.
It's exactly the way to get out of it all the time. Hey, John, thanks for stopping by, my friend. We'll read you on Newsmax.com, and have a great 4th of July.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
All right. We'll take a break, come back on the other side, get you ready to head for New York City right here at MidPoint.